What's going on, Dodgers Nation? Doug McCain here. You can follow me at DMAC_LA. Be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel. For all the latest Dodgers news and rumors, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, and I want all your takes down below in the comments section. I want all your takes on today's topic right down below in the comments section. And for all the latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. Man, what's going on, Dodgers Nation? Today we're going to continue our series where we're handing out grades for the 2020 season. And today we're going to take a look at the Dodgers Outfielders. So the Dodger Outfielders, they're getting their grades today. The report cards are in, and I know you want to see them.
Santa! Want to see my report card? Think I did good?
So before we get to the grades, let's run down my 2020 player grading scale. A equals elite, B equals baller, C equals average, D equals dude get it together, and F equals hashtag fail. And I want everyone in Dodgers Nation to play along with me. Be sure to give me your grades down below in the comment section. But we're going to start with Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts, an outstanding first season with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Betts was a beast. In 55 games, he ends up hitting .292, had 16 home runs, finished with a .927 OPS, a .149 OPS plus, finished with 10 defensive runs saved, which would have put him second in all of Major League Baseball, had 10 stolen bases. He also finished with a .149 WRC plus, which was the second highest WRC plus of his career, trailing only the .185 he put up in his 2018 MVP season. Now, to start the year, he wasn't very hot coming out of the gates. To start the season, he ends up hitting .256 in the month of July, goes 10 for his first 39, which aren't terrible numbers, but they're not Mookie Betts MVP numbers. Then he turned it up in August. In August, he hit .315, had an OPS over 1,000. Now, there have been seasons where Mookie's gotten off to slow starts, but I think this year there was a lot of factors coming into it. One, a new team, new franchise, a new league, and then he would sign that 12-year, $365 million contract. So all those expectations, but I think the biggest factor for a little bit of a slow start for Mookie Betts this season was they were batting him in the two-hole. And for his career, Mookie's actually hit .307 batting second, but something just didn't feel right, and he ends up hitting .255 in 11 games batting in the two-hole, and then everything kicked into gear once they made him the permanent leadoff hitter. He slashed .302, .383, .570, had a .952 OPS. 13 of his 16 home runs came when he was batting leadoff, and to me it was a comfort factor. You signed Mookie Betts to be your leadoff hitter, to set the tone, to be that catalyst, and he wanted that role. And once they stopped getting too cute with that lineup every day, Mookie Betts started playing MVP caliber baseball. Look, if you have Chris Paul, he's your point guard. You're not going to start him at forward or shooting guard. Let players play where they have their most success. And in his career, Mookie Betts, 73% of his at-bats in his career have come at the leadoff spot. So it was a no-brainer, and you saw the tone he set every single day for this Dodger team. And then the postseason, I think the Dodgers really followed his lead in October. He ends up hitting .296 with 8 doubles, 2 home runs, had an .871 OPS in 18 postseason games. And in that wild card series, he hit .429 against the Brewers, .333 against the Padres, then .269 against the Braves, and .269 against the Rays. But it was those impact plays with the glove. It's how he set the tone on the base paths. He was wreaking havoc all postseason long. You saw double steals. You saw him get under tags to get extra runs. And then you saw the final exclamation point in the clincher in Game 6. You know the Sports Illustrated cover where he screamed into the heavens because the Dodgers were about to win the World Series. And in year one, Mookie Betts had such a tremendous impact. And to me, look, my granddad always used to ask him, hey, who's your favorite player of all time? And he would always say Willie Mays. And he would say Willie Mays, and I would say, hey, man, why was it Willie Mays? And he would say, he can do everything, and you never know when he's going to do something special. And that is what Mookie Betts does. From robbing home runs to hitting home runs to stealing bases to stealing a run away from the Atlanta Braves in Game 5 of the NLCS. To me, that was such a game-changing play in that series. If that goes under Mookie Betts' glove, they're taking control of that game. They're taking all the momentum. They had already gone to the Dodgers starter in an elimination game. The Dodgers could have been gone in 5 against the Braves if it weren't for that miraculous shoestring catch and a little help from instant replay. So shout out to replay on that one. And it felt like during the entire postseason run that whenever the Dodgers needed Mookie Betts to step up and give him a special moment, to give him a spark, he delivered each and every time. You saw it in the wild card series, the NLDS, the NLCS, and then in Game 1 of the World Series. He puts the Dodgers on his back in Game 1, becomes the first player in Major League history to hit a home run, to score 2 runs, and steal 2 bases. And I think that's one of the many things that makes Mookie so special. He knows when his team needs him to step up. He did it right there in Game 1 for the World Series. He ended up hitting .269. Corey Seager ended up taking MVP honors, but Mookie Betts, he did exactly what the Dodgers needed him to do in that World Series, and that was to manufacture runs. You saw it all postseason long. You saw it there in the Fall Classic. And then there's the stuff that doesn't show up on the box score. It's the leadership qualities that Mookie possesses. It's that Mookie mentality that permeates the team. It's contagious, and you saw this entire postseason run. There was just a different intensity with this Dodger team, and all he talked about all season long was winning a World Series. This man manifested this World Series. It's what he talked about when he signed his contract. It's what he talked about all season long. It's what he talked about after the Dodgers won the World Series. Look, I haven't seen a guy this obsessed with rings since Sonic the Hedgehog. Mookie Betts, he wanted to win that ring, and look, he was talking about it all season.
I'm here to win some rings, bring some rings back to LA.
It's a long season, obviously we want to win a World Series, and so I'm working just to do that.
Since day one, that's obviously been the goal to win a World Series, and so I'm just happy to be a part of it.
And you heard the man right there. He said rings plural, so I'm sure Mookie Betts is sitting there saying, hey, I'm just getting started here in L.A. I'm sure he'll consider it a failure if he doesn't win multiple rings here in Los Angeles. That's the standard that he holds himself to. And as far as his 2020 grade goes, I'm giving him an A. An A for Mookie Betts in year 1. A equals elite. Mookie Betts is definitely elite, so A for Mookie Betts. And then next is Cody Bellinger. So Bellinger coming off that MVP season where early in the year last year, it looked like he invented baseball. He hit .305, had 47 home runs, was slugging .629. It looked like he was going to be this perennial MVP candidate, and this year he really had a rough regular season to start things off. He ended up slashing .239, .333, .455 for the year, ended up with a 114 WRC plus and a 113 OPS plus, but really sticks out when you look at his numbers is that slugging drop-off. He slugged .629 a year ago. That number drops to .455, and the walk rate and the strikeout rate were really similar. He had a 12.4% walk rate and a 17.3% strikeout rate. In 2019, he had a 16.9 strikeout rate and a 14.4 walk rate. So there definitely was an MVP hangover for Cody Bellinger, and then also it was an even year. You know how Cody Bellinger does his best work in odd years, but still, he ended up hitting 12 home runs. That would have put him on pace to hit over 30 jacks in a regular 162-game season, and he really had a dreaded start. He hit 139 for the month of July, started 5 for his first 38 with no home runs. Had a much better August. In August, 255, but that slugging up to 588, that OPS up to 927 for the month of August, and he ended up hitting 6 home runs in a span of 11 games. So Cody Bellinger, that power was there in August. Then in September, a little more consistent at the plate as a hitter, hit 267, but the OPS dropped down to 795. Now, for the postseason, he ends up slashing 212, 316, 455 in 18 games, but those numbers don't tell the whole story because Cody Bellinger, he had some of the most memorable moments in the 2020 postseason for the Dodgers. First of all, there was the rob job he did against Fernando Tatis there in the NLDS. A spectacular catch. He played Gold Glove defense the entire year, and it was really highlighted there with that catch in the NLDS. And then he goes on to hit one of the biggest home runs in Dodger history. He absolutely obliterated that pitch from Chris Martin. It was the 8th pitch. He had 2 strikes on him, and everything about the at-bat was elite. His pitch selection, he was fighting off all those pitches, and then he turns on it, hits it all the way back to Cali pretty much, and then he does that pimp job, and we're never going to forget that home run. An all-timer from Cody Bellinger, an atomic belly bomb for the ages. He ends up hitting 4 home runs, and he was really clutch with runners in scoring position. He hit .375, had 9 RBIs with runners in scoring position. Oh, don't forget, too, he invented the foot bump. He also had the deep thought Cody. So Cody Bellinger, he was great in the postseason. And I know the average is not eye-popping, but he really came through when the Dodgers needed it most, and he was a big part of this World Series championship. So as far as his future with the club goes, he'll hit arbitration for the 2nd time. He'll have 2 more to go after this, and then he'll hit free agency in 3 years. So he'll be with the club for at least another 3 years before he hits free agency. Now, as far far as my grade for Cody Bellinger goes, the regular season got up to that slow start, struggled mightily throughout. I'd give him a C for the regular season, but for what he did in the postseason, the moments that he had, would the Dodgers have won the World Series without the heroics of Cody Bellinger? I think the answer is no. So Cody Bellinger, you helped my team win a World Series. I'm definitely going to bump that grade up. And next year, we definitely need to see a more consistent Cody Bellinger, and he can tinker with that stance early on in the season. If he doesn't do that, he probably would have had a more consistent year. But because of that, I got to give Cody Bellinger a B. For the big moments, Cody Bellinger, that home run will live in Dodger history forever. And then next is A.J. Pollock. So what a year for A.J. Pollock. He ends up coming to camp 2 weeks late because he had COVID, and then also his daughter was born prematurely. So there were talks that he would opt out of the season, and then thankfully his wife said, you know what, you don't want to see your team win a World Series. Convince him, hey, this is the right thing to do, to go to camp, to play out this season, and he really had a career year in a lot of different respects. He ends up slashing 275, 314, 566, had an 809 OPS, and he hit 16 home runs with 34 RBIs, had a 134 OPS plus, and that was his best batting average since his All-Star season back when he hit 315 back in 2015. Also, he had 16 home runs. The most home runs he had hit in his season was 21 before that. So he was on pace to hit over 40 home runs this year, and that was the big takeaway with Pollo, was that Pollo pop during the season. He had 16 home runs. I did not anticipate this level of power from him. 7 home runs against lefties, 9 home runs against righties, and he was raking lefties all season long. Hit 345, had an OPS of 1185 against southpaws this year, and his K percentage and his walk percentage, they were essentially the same from a year ago, but it was that ISO power. He had a career high 291 with ISO power this year, and that was really the takeaway, was that power. I just couldn't get over the fact that in his All-Star season, 157 games, he hit 20 home runs. This year, he hit 16 in 55 games. He had that 2 home run game in the last game of the season against the Angels, and he deserves a lot of credit for stepping up the way he did at the beginning of the season. When Cody Bellinger and Max Muncy, they were really struggling to get it going. They got that power from Pollock early on, and the Dodgers really needed it. Now, when it comes to the postseason, he hit 220 in the postseason, goes 9 for 41, has 2 doubles, but it was definitely an improvement from the NLDS in 2019 when he goes 11 for 13 with 11 strikeouts. So a much better postseason for Pollo this time around. He hit 300 in the NLDS, 200 in the NLCS, and then 167 in limited opportunities in the Fall Classic. He goes 1 for 7 in the World Series with a single. So when it comes to the postseason, you saw that power wasn't there. The power wasn't there like it was in the regular season, but a much better showing for A.J. Pollock this year. Definitely redeemed himself this time around. Now, as far as the future for A.J. Pollock and the Dodgers, I see him playing left field. He'll be the starting left fielder for the Dodgers going into next season, and he signed that 5-year, $60 million contract back in 2019. Next year, he'll be entering the 3rd year of that deal. It's 4 years with a player option for the 5th year. And as far as his grade goes, I'm going to give him a solid B-. A B- for A.J. Pollock. Really had a fantastic breakout regular season. Lots of power for A.J. Pollock. Didn't have too many memorable moments in the postseason. That's why I'm going with the B- for A.J. Pollock for 2020. And then next is Chris Taylor. So Chris Taylor, he was all over the field for the Dodgers this year. He appeared in 17 games in left field, 14 starts, appeared in 6 games in center field, 5 starts. Now, if you combine his stats when he was playing left and he was playing center, he hit 320 with 4 home runs. So he did his best work as a hitter when he was playing in the outfield this year. For the season, he ended up slashing 270, 366, and 476, but he had a career high in on-base percentage, and I think that was the big takeaway with CT3 this year. The plate discipline in the regular season, you saw a marked improvement in that area. He had a 12.1% walk rate. That was another career high, and that strikeout rate was where it was in 2017, around 25%. And he played like an all-star in September. In September, he hit 296. He was OPSing 991, hit 6 of his 8 home runs. I thought his hands were going to fall off for how many times he was doing that barrels are overrated sign he does after he gets a hit. And he was also really clutch with runners in scoring position. He hit 342 with runners in scoring position this year, hit 2 home runs, had 23 RBIs, and to me, he provided the best moment of the regular season. The throw out of Grisham there, the throw out there on August 5th against the Padres, a highly anticipated series. He throws at 93.3 miles per hour. That's what StatCast had it measured at. And I love Ross Stripling's tweet there. The CT 93.3. It was an absolute missile from Chris Taylor on that play. To me, that was the moment of the regular season. Now, in the postseason, he definitely had his struggles at times, ends up hitting 207, and he started to regress into some bad habits at the plate. He struck out 24 times, had just 5 walks, was 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position, had that nice 2-run shot off Blake Snell there in Game 2 of the World Series, and he mishandled that base hit from Phillips there in Game 4. As far as next year, the Dodgers have him signed for 1 more season, so he'll be back next year. As far as his grade goes, I'm going to give him a CT3+, a CT3+ for this season. And then next, the pride of Palo Alto, California, Joc Pederson. So Joc Pederson, he had career lows in batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage, that WRC plus at 88. It was definitely the worst regular season for Joc Pederson. He ends up hitting 7 home runs. They use him like they always do against righties. Now, I think what really hurt Joc Pederson was the length of the season. With this abbreviated season, he didn't have time to go on those streaks because right when he was about to hit a streak, the season could end. So not very many opportunities to ride that Joc Pederson wave in the regular season, but he definitely came around in the postseason. In October, he slashed 382, 432, 559, and he appeared in 16 of 18 games, so he played a major role in the postseason. You saw 2 Joc pops, that 3-run bomb against the ATL where the Dodgers bludgeoned the Braves by a final score of 15-3. They had that historic 11-run first inning. They felt like they scored like 70,000 runs there, and Joc Pederson was a big part of that. And then the World Series had that big home run there in Game 5. Runs were a premium, giving Clayton Kershaw that insurance run there in Game 5. That was big, and he also reminded everyone, hey, you don't want that smoke.
They don't want that smoke!
Now, as far as his regular season goes, I'm definitely going to have to give him a D. Dude, get it together for the regular season. But Joctober, the annual tradition, he comes through again, played very well in the postseason in the opportunities he was given. And I'm going to give him for the season a C-. A C- for Joctober. We might never see him again, so I want to hook him up a little bit, give him a C-. As far as his future with the Dodgers, I don't anticipate him being back. Yes, we'll see how the market plays out. Maybe a 1-year deal with the Dodgers. You never know. But I think there's going to be some teams out there that are going to look at his power numbers, and they're going to take a flyer on him. So I do unfortunately think that his days as a Dodger are done. But thanks for the memories, Joc Pederson. I think it's going to be hit the road Joc this year. Once a Dodger, always a Dodger, and I'm giving him a C- for 2020. And then next we got Zach McKinstry. So Zach McKinstry was killing it at the original spring training. He was hitting .414, OPSing over 1,300, and that was in 14 games. And I thought this was going to be the guy that the Dodgers were going to bring up, and he was going to have a big impact, like a Matt Beatty or a Will Smith type like we've seen the previous seasons. But that just wasn't the case. He didn't get the opportunities this season, only played in 4 games at the show, ends up going 2 for 7. In his first career start, he goes 2 for 4, has a double against the Colorado Rockies. So a nice start for Zach McKinstry, and be sure to remember that name because I see him being a key utility player for the Dodgers. With Kike Hernandez likely gone, he's a guy that can be a big utility guy. Oh, and then last but not least, I'm giving Chico an A+. I didn't forget about you, Chico. We saw you there playing left field. We know you've got a cannon, so I'm giving Chico an A+. But give me all your grades down below in the comments section. I want all your grades on today's Dodgers Outfielders down below in the comments section. And for all the latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com.